Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Martin Hill-Wilson.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for choosing me over your lunch. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. This is my second year, actually, talking about social. At the risk of exposing myself as being a bad speaker, who was here last year? There you go. I shouldn't have asked that, should I? That was much more of a, you know what, social is happening, and it was a kind of a flag-waving exercise, and we're 12 months on now. So I thought I would change the focus on this particular presentation and give you an update and say where we've got to in the last 12 months. And in fact, I've called this session The Growing Pains, because I must say it is not exactly a clean sheet at this particular point in time. And whilst it holds great promise and is quite exciting, we ain't got there yet by any stretch of the imagination. So that's the executive summary. If you want to leave early, that's what I'm basically going to be telling you over the next 3/4 of an hour. But nonetheless, it's one of those areas that I think is exciting. And before I get into the detail of my stuff, I would just like to say that social, amongst a number of things, has got the potential to change our industry for the best. And the main reason for that is in the old days, nobody could ever hear you scream in the IVR, where they can see you when you're online complaining. Now that ultimately is a force for good. And it depends how brands are going to react to that. And that's part of actually a much broader issue about how do we as an organization do social. And there are still many organizations mid-debate actually saying, how much do we really welcome that? I don't think it's inaccurate to say, by the way, the more senior we get in organizations, the more we realize that we're walking on glass in terms of, no, broken shells, isn't it? Sorry, eggshells, in terms of not rocking the boat and knowing when to be quiet and when to say stuff. And generally, the more senior you become, the more private things get done, you know, in the style of things. And when you get to the right top of an organization, it's all about not slipping on that banana skin. It's interesting, therefore, only 7% of CEOs currently tweet. And I'm sure that's not just a competency issue. That's to do with the fact that it's counterculture in terms of what they're about and what they're trying to achieve, being that transparent and being that public. So social actually throws up a much broader issue, and those of us in the customer service community have that problem, which is how do we now deal with the fact that our performance is being recorded and observed by our customers and our competitors and anybody else that wants to pitch in a curved ball commenting our performance. So what I'm going to give you today is an assessment of where we've got to in that process. And the first thing I wanted to tell you about is actually the nature of us as consumers in terms of our social behavior in the UK. Facebook, I mean, is fairly well known. We have nudged past the halfway mark now, and we're getting somewhere close to 32 million. How many are there of us in the UK? It's 64, is it? Okay, so we're literally halfway there. As far as Facebook is concerned. What is new is the fact that Twitter has grown very fast, and there's now 10 million of us actually signed up as far as that's concerned, and 4 out of 5 of us, i.e. 80%, have got a LinkedIn profile. Let's just have a very quick corroboration of that. Who's on LinkedIn here? Have a look around. I think that figure stands up, doesn't it? Yes, okay. So we've really got critical mass in terms of us participating. Now, it has to be said, by the way, just because you've signed up doesn't necessarily mean you're that active. So you will find that the use of social channels isn't necessarily ubiquitous across your customer base yet, because not all of us are very comfortable using it. But we have at least got to the point of signing up for it. So that's the first point to be said. The next thing, by the way, is in terms of who we like to follow, it has to be said that the celebs are beating corporates on a matter of 10 to 1 in terms of interest levels. You know, Stephen Fry is no fool in terms of getting that there. I think there's a competition right now to get, is it on Facebook or Twitter? It's between Lady Gaga, Justin Bieber, and Katie Price, I think, and they're all just trending 29 million or something, I think, of that nature. It's a big number anyway. It's a big number. And the best we've got as far as UK following on Twitter is concerned, Top Shot, you know, not even 500,000 yet. So we're learning how to relate to organizations. And it might be said, by the way, in case it never occurred to you, certainly as far as Twitter is concerned, if you want to do a service transaction and you want to then go into a private mode of direct messaging, you have to follow that brand before that can take place. So therefore, some of that is also generated as a function of doing service business with those customers, not because necessarily they like the brand as such. But last big survey that was done that got some good headlines was from Fishburn Hedges, and they did this early this year, and the headline there is to say there were a little under 20% of us, August last year, who were interacting with brands via social channels, and we've now crept up above the third mark. So that's quite rapid pace there. You'll see at the top there, that actually we've still got a generational bias in terms of the use of those channels. That's not surprising. And interestingly, and this is the bit that might not be true next year, a lot of us still believe interacting on social is a better way of doing service than the call center. What I'm going to show you later on is that the truth of the matter is that's not so. You're more likely to get an answer sitting in a queue waiting for a live person at the end of a phone call. But nonetheless, the perception is still there. So, let's see how that general industry stats plays out in terms of this particular group. And you've got the opportunity to find out amongst you three things, really, and I'm going to ask you three questions. First one, have you used social channels, I mean Facebook, I mean Twitter, anything like that, a forum, an online forum, to get a problem of yours sorted out? Yes, no. Next question. Oh, all right, straight into that one. Has that come up? Yes, okay. Okay, well that's better than I thought actually. 40% of us. Let's see that as hands.